Have you ever had the feeling that sometimes at a certain circuit, your luck just never comes in? Well, so far this week, that's how it's felt for me at the Silverstone National circuit as we race there on LFM in the MX5 Cup. Today's video is another one where we find ourselves at the back of the pack after being taken out by another competitor. However, don't let that fool you. Once we found ourselves at the back, we actually had an absolute banger of a race. Almost as if the further back you are, the cleaner the racing is. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the race and find out what went on. Okay, the lights are about to go off here at the Silverstone National circuit for 20 laps of MX5 Cup racing here on LFM, and we are away. And a pretty good start, although the guy behind us is gaining on us in down to the run to turn number one, so we're gonna have to be a bit cautious into one, not turning too far, give him the space. But there's an incident in front and there is 2 or 3 cars involved in that. So started P11 here and we've managed to gain a couple of places now up to P9 as we head into turn number 3 here. Going to take a nice wide line, as I feel like a lot of the issues I've had is at turn 3, and if you take that inside line you just seem to become susceptible to a dive bomb or get yourself involved in an instant. Anyway, we're on the run down here to the fast corners, and we're coming alongside here the couple of guys, but I'm going to brake nice and early and turn in here, leave everyone plenty of space. Don't want to get too aggressive on lap 1 as a guy goes a lot of extra speed and cuts back. But we've gained a position here. We're up to a P10 as we come over to the line to start lap number 2, and looks like we're going to be able to have a pretty decent run here. We have got a car to the side of us who is going to cut back in. I'm not sure what he's going to do, but actually what he's going to do is he's going to tag us. He's going to go for a lunge down the inside, completely take us out, and then we get T-boned by another car as well, and we are finding ourselves back in last position. P19, there was 19 starters. Rafael here was actually the guy who went down our inside, and he apologized after the race and obviously gave us the position back here, so no harm done, apology accepted. We go on, and we are now P18 in this race on lap number 2 with a long way to go and a lot of work to do to be able to get back into this one. The initial contact wasn't too bad. I just feel like being T-boned while I was off the track was what really put the nail in the coffin. We got slight suspension damage as well as a little bit of body damage, but I don't think that's going to affect us too much. We just kind of need just to regroup, get our head into it, and see how far we can actually progress here in this race. Chasing down Alain Prost in front, not the real Alain Prost of course, but we are on lap number 3 here, and I think the 3 of us here who are right at the back of the pack now are all reasonably paced the same, so it's going to be difficult, I think, to try and make any inroads on the guy in front. All I can hope is that the pack ahead of us is going to be a little bit slower, and then that's going to allow us to kind of claw back some positions later on in the race. So it's all just, like I said, a matter of keeping our head down at this moment and just focusing on the task at hand and being able to get as close to the pack as we can in the hope that in the late race we can catch up. But keeping it relatively tidy for now. Like I say, the gap in front and the gap behind isn't really coming back too much. I don't actually have my timing overlay on. Let me put it on here. So yeah, the gap in front is 1.5 seconds, the gap behind is 1.2, and we are 7.5 seconds off the pack ahead of them. So yeah, a lot of work to do if we are to catch them as we go around turn number 1 on lap 4 here. Drifted out a little bit wide on the exit, but not too wide. We managed to keep it within the track limits, and trying to take some nice and tidy lines here through turn number 3 as we enter the Wellington straight. Actually had a much tighter line there than Alain Prost in front of us, and it's enabled us to take a couple of tenths out of him. But the gap to the group in front, Dark Wolf there in 16th position, is it was down to about 5 seconds before they entered the braking zone, as we go a little bit wide, but it allows us to get a nice turn in and get on the power a little bit earlier into turn number 4. Round the final corner we go, and over the start finish line once more to start lap number 5. Gap to the car behind has come down by a couple of tenths, and it's now 5 seconds to the pack in front. So we took about 2 seconds, maybe a little bit more out of them on that lap. So like I said, just a matter of focusing, looking at the time, and it does look like we chasing pack are quicker than the pack we're chasing. So need to keep our head down at this moment in time. Try and keep it nice and smooth. Having said that, we drift out wide in that corner, and that actually costs us almost half a second from the back of Prost in front. Gap stabilised to a second behind as we're down the Wellington straight once more. The gap to the chasing pack now down to 3.6. It seems like Dark Wolf has actually dropped off the pack a little bit here, so indications potentially that Dark Wolf is a little bit slower than the rest of the pack. So I think the sooner we can catch up to this guy and pass him, the better, and hopefully we'll be able to make some more inroads on the guys in front. Gap to them is currently sitting at 6 seconds. Gap down to 2.8 though as we come across the line to start number 6. I think we've taken a good 1.5 to 2 tenths out of Dark Wolf on each lap. The gap between me and Alan Prost now in front is about the same as it is now to Dark Wolf, so kind of hoping as well that they kind of hold each other up a little bit. If Dark Wolf's a little bit slower, that might mean that Alan Prost has a bit of an issue trying to get past them potentially, or it might not be as clean as they would like, so that might bring us a little bit closer to these two. But visually you can see now the gap is really close. We're 2 seconds behind. Alan Prost is only 0.6 of a second as we head down to turn number 4 here, but still not close enough to make a lunge in front. This is the time where he might get compromised as he looks down the inside, but Dark Wolf has covered that one off. We're just looking to try and get on the power as early as we can without getting any oversteer. But the gap behind is also decreased by a couple of tenths, so Raphael behind isn't out of this fight at all. There is still plenty left in that one for him as we come across the line to start lap number 7 here. Looks like Alan Prost has got a better run down the inside here at Dark Wolf, and I've got a much better run here than Dark Wolf as well. You can see I'm really closing up the gap here, down to half a second as we enter the corner. Just trying to keep it nice and tight, get on the power as early as we can in the hope that I can get a better run down to turn number 4 than Dark Wolf, but unfortunately we don't. But we are gaining slightly. We're not going to be in a position to lunge down the inside here though, so we're just going to tuck in behind here. Have a little look just to see if we can maybe distract him a little bit. As he gets a little snap of oversteer there and has to correct mid-corner. But once again, we're just going to keep it nice and tidy, try and stay in the slipstream, and just try and get on the power as early as we can. I'm not sure how confident he is out of turn number 1, as I did seem to gain a lot of time on the previous lap with a good run, but all the time I am stuck now behind Dark Wolf. That's given Alan Prost the opportunity to potentially bolt. He is 7 seconds ahead of Dark Wolf here, so yeah, just looking to get a nice good run. We definitely look like we are a lot faster here as the inside goes to the outside and we make the move past Dark Wolf. We jump back onto the racing line before the corner. I don't think we're going to come under too much trouble here. We have to defend this position quite easily. As a car goes off in front, that's Colin Smith. He has lost it there, so we're now up to P16 in this race. 2 more positions gained. And Dark Wolf is only 0.3 of a second behind. Luckily for us though, Alan Prost wasn't able to bolt, and the gap to Alan Prost in front remains at half a second. So just looking to take a nice line through these long corners. Like I say, it's all about trying to get on the power early. As you see there, I tried to get on the power too early and had to actually correct mid-corner, which is going to obviously compromise both my speed and my line. The gap to the pack in front now is down to 3.8 seconds, so it seems like we are still able to reel them in a little bit. Just have to see how that gap comes down over the next couple of laps. Getting a good run through turn 1, a better run than Dark Wolf, who has actually lost a bit of time to us there by a tenth or two. So gap to Alan Prost in front, still half a second as we enter turn 3 in the Wellington straight here. Get a nice run there. Didn't run too wide, a lot more narrow than Alan Prost ran, and we're really in the draft here trying to pick up a little bit of extra speed, and we are gaining now. The gap down to 0.3 of a second. Too far back though, I think, to take a lunge here. So once again, we're just gonna play it nice and steady. No need to rush, no need to pressure. The guy to the gap, sorry, to Jesus in front has come down as well. That's like under 3 seconds now. So not the best run through the final corner. We've lost just over a tenth, I think, there to Alain Prost, but the gap behind has been stretched. We are now 1.5 seconds in front of Dark Wolf behind, so I don't think we need to worry too much about the threat from behind. As I've talked about quite a few times in recent videos, I can now concentrate on driving ahead and not driving in my mirror. So yeah, eyes forward as we head down once again. Gap still at half a second here. Trying all I can to get a nice tight line, but early on the power, as we do seem to get a better run through there than Alain Prost in front. But by the time we get to the straight, we're still, 2 or 3 tenths behind, and we don't seem to be able to capitalize at this moment. But looking ahead here, the cars in the pack ahead do seem like they are compacting a little bit. The gap to that big group ahead of Jesus in 14th place there does seem to have come down. So us racing our own race is certainly helping us here, and to catch the pack and trying to get back into something. So Raphael behind has got past, so I'll keep an eye on him, see how he can come back at us as we go into lap number 11 here, second half of the race here, and we get a mighty run there through turn 1. Alain Prost was a little bit slow. I don't know if he got a little bit of oversteer there, but we're going to come alongside him here. We're going to look for a move down the inside, give him plenty of space, brake nice and early, take a tight line around this apex. It's going to compromise our exit speed, so he might come back at us here because he's had a much more clean swooping line. I'm going to go out to the outside because I feel like there's a better line on the outside. You're more compromised on the inside here. So we're going to turn number 4. Are we going to hold on to 13th position here? Well, we try and do a switch back on Alain Prost. He's gone very wide and very deep, but to be fair, he had a good line and good speed, so he's taken back 13th place. But even though we've been battling there, the gap to Jesus in front of us has come back down. We are now 1.5 seconds behind him, 2.5 ahead of the pack, and looking behind, we've managed to pull another half a tenth from Raphael. So even though me and Alain here are battling, it's not really hurting us in this race. We're still pulling away and still managing to reel in the guys in front of us. So lap number 12 here, and it's looking like this could get spicy. And there's very much there's a lot of opportunity, to take a few more places here as we try and get a good run once more through here. We've had a much tighter line. Have we been able to get on the power? It looks like we're gaining on Alain here. Only 2 tenths is the gap, but he's going to come back onto the racing line, which he's allowed to do. All alongside, and I'm just going to hang back here. Brake nice and early. Don't want to compromise, but Alain's gone a little bit wide here, and we managed to take 13th place, but he's going to be on the inside. Is he going to take it back from us? Is he going to have a better line? We're going to hold it around the outside, but no, he has a lot better speed on the exit. Nothing we're able to do there. Just tuck back into the draft and see if we can, rinse and repeat on the next lap as we head into lap number 13 here. 2 tenths is the gap, and we are gaining visibly here. I'm going to actually back off quite early because I didn't feel like I'd be able to cut down the inside. I didn't want to take the risk. I'm just going to sit in the draft here and see what we can do. Weaving about a little bit just to see if we can cause them to get a little bit distracted. Take a nice tight line into turn number 3 here. Almost too tight as we lost a lot of speed there. So we're back into P13 here, down the Wellington straight. Alan's coming back at us, and he does take the position on P14. So we are side by side here. I don't think he's got enough space really to cut back onto the racing line, so he's going to stay on that slightly inside line, which might compromise him a little bit. So we get a mighty run through 4. Can we get on the power nice and early? Can we tighten? Oh, we get a snap of oversteer as we try and get on the power a little bit too early. It hasn't hurt us though, as we are still right on the back here of Jesus and Alain Prost. P14 as we head into lap number 14. 2/10 is the gap, but I'm pinned in here. There's nowhere I can really go, so I'm backing off nice and early in the hope that these guys are going to battle. It gives me a mighty launch out of turn number 1. And we're going to look down the inside here, and we're going to take 2 positions up to P12, sorry. Are we going to be able to hold it though? Once again, break nice and early, nice tight line. Jesus has gone very wide, but that's going to give him an almighty run potentially onto the Wellington straight, as Alain Prost and me are very close to touching, but we managed to keep it clean. But we managed to stay ahead of Jesus, but not Alain Prost. As I give him a little flash there to say, good racing, thank you very much for keeping it clean. P13 now. We're going to go down the inside here into turn number 4. Alain's gone a little bit wide, but it doesn't matter. We've got Jesus now coming down the inside of us. This is absolutely crazy. There is action everywhere we look. We try and hold it around the outside. I think we've done enough, as Jesus is still behind us at this point. Gap is literally 0. There is no gap between me and Jesus. As we come onto lap number 15, we maintain P13, but he's going to go down the inside, so I'm going to be very cautious here. But I've compromised my line into turn number 1. It's going to send me wide with a bit of oversteer, and unfortunately we're going to drop down now to well, we're staying in P13 it seems. Sorry, P14. As Jesus, I don't know if he left me some space there or what happened, but yeah, Raphael was able to come back through to overtake both of us. I don't know if Jesus felt that he'd pushed me off track. He really didn't. It was my own mistake, and I drifted off wide. I just had no grip at all to turn in, but P14 still, and we're on the back of Raphael here. What can we do here as he goes down the inside on the defensive line? We've lost a bit of ground here though to Alain Prost. I'd completely even forgotten that Raphael was behind us. I thought we'd put enough distance between them to be able to be safe and not worry about the threat from behind. But however, it goes on, and I suppose that's what happens when you take your eye off what's happening behind and try and focus so much on the battle right in front of you. Anyway, P16 here, sorry, lap 16, we are up to P14 after that epic duel, and we get an almighty run here on Raphael. We're going to cut back to the inside. He makes a half-hearted move but doesn't completely block us off. He leaves us the space as we head down to turn number 3. Again, I've always been pinned on this inside it seems, but it looks like Raphael has taken a bit more of a narrow line, and that's going to enable us to stay ahead. He's going to cut back and take the racing line potentially. So we're going to have the inside into turn number 4 as we head down the Wellington straight. He's slightly ahead at this point as we enter the turn in. Can we hold our position into it? No. He's gone for it, but he's got oversteer. He's had a bit of a wiggle on, but it's compromised my line. I got distracted thinking I need to leave him the space, so I wasn't able to capitalize on that move. But yeah, we're back in P14 here with 3 laps to go. We are 0.3 seconds behind as we enter down to turn number 1. We are gaining once again at the back of Raphael here into turn number 1. We're going to look slightly towards the inside half-heartedly, but yeah, I didn't really know what I was trying to do there. Raphael has gone wide though, and we're going to go all the way to the other side just in case he rejoins, and we take the position. I was a bit all over the place into turn number 1 there. I wasn't really sure where I was going to put the car, and I probably distracted him, so if I did, I'm sorry, Raphael. But for once, we actually get a good run into turn number 3. We're not compromised and pinned on the inside. So P13 we are, as we head down the Wellington straight. Not under threat this time, so we should be able to get a good run through here. Not ideal, but considering we've been in battles for the majority of the second half of the race here, it's nice to actually have a good, clean line through there for once. But we've got 2 laps to go. P13, at least I think we're in P13 at this point. And The gap to Alain Prost ahead is 2.5 seconds. I don't think we're going to be able to catch him with 2 laps to go. So my efforts are all going to be focused here on maintaining this position from Raphael behind. Get a pretty good run through turn number 1. We're able to pull a couple of tenths away from him. As we look here, try and get a good run through turn number 3. Nice line on the power early, drift out wide, which we can do because we're on the power, and yeah, excellent run there, using all the width of the track to try and get as much on the power as we can. We've managed to pull 7/10 of a second now, the gap behind, as we enter turn number 4 and this long sweeping corners for the penultimate time here. Trying to keep it nice and smooth. Try and get on the power nice and early. Bit of oversteer mid-corner, had to correct, and luckily I think Raphael was following me and had the same sort of issue, as we didn't really lose any time. But down the start-finish straight we go to start lap number 19, the final lap here. Into turn number 1. Like I said, I don't think we're going to gain any more positions in this one, unfortunately. As we get a nice run. The gap's only half a second though behind, so we've still got to be wary of Raphael. We need a good run through here, as it's not the best to run. We kind of got a bit of on that to get on the brakes and really turn in sharply, but looking in the rearview mirror I can see visually we are slowly, slightly pulling away. So half the lap has been done, we've got half to go. Can we keep it together to take this position? Into turn number 4 for the final time. Raphael's having a look down the inside, but my line is naturally going to bring me back towards the inside, which he is aware of. And trying to get on the power, and Raphael has had an almighty launch out of the final corner, so I'm going to keep it as tight to the inside here for the shortest run possible to the line. And although he is gaining, I think we're going to be able to hold on here to take P13 in this race. Hopefully it's P13. And yeah, I give everybody a little flash, because that was some really good, clean, hard, fair racing. And even though we got taken out at the beginning, it's good to see that people at the back can be fair and can keep it clean. Okay, so let's take a look at the final race results. This was a split 1 race, and the strength of field was 1993. We actually finished in P14, so I must have miscalculated my overtakes during the commentary, which I apologize for. But our ELO drops by 25 points to 1637. Our safety rating is improved by 0.11, which takes us up to 7.56. We incurred 5 incident points. Our fastest lap was a 106.150, and we lost 3 positions in the race, gaining 39 championship points. So there you go, guys. That was the race. And like I said, although I got taken out on lap number 2, the battles in that race were pretty intense. It's good to see, though, that even at the back of the field, you can still have some good, clean, fair racing. And I think you'll agree that the second half of that race was just that. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider giving it a like. And if you'd like to see more racing content from me, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you want to get involved in the racing on LFM, make sure you check out the link in the description below, and I hope to see you on track really soon. All that's left for me to say is until next time, see ya.